Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm glad that you're here on the Stable Podcast, episode 15 of the Stable Podcast.
Already?
Not to be confused by 13 or 14, because apparently I can't count. You would know that if you go back and get a chance to watch our PopCon episode, which I think through the entire recording I said episode 13, but it is what it is. Numbers are hard.
No, numbers are hard. Counting.
I mean, how many WrestleManias do we have now? Who cares?
37. 38 coming along.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Anyhow.
Actually, it's 38.
It's 38, yeah. See? Numbers are hard.
Numbers are hard.
All right. So on this episode of the Stable, we're going to talk a little bit about the Forbidden Door pay-per-view with AEW and New Japan Wrestling. Maybe talk a little bit more about some of the things that happened after that pay-per-view, but maybe not. We might save that for another episode
Dynamite,
with you guys.
Blood and Guts just happened. So
Yeah, it was
fantastic.
fantastic.
I think we might do a little more AEW this time and maybe a little bit of a WWE.
We'll touch on some WWE stuff because there's some important things that happened this week, but in general, we'll
have
see.
other episodes.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
We'll do it in a different episode.
They don't know what they're doing.
They don't listen to me.
They don't know what they're doing.
Don't.
Goodness. Anyhow, before we get into the episode, let's go ahead and introduce everybody. We're going to go ahead and start to my right. Ladies first.
This is Dr. Deb.
This is Josh.
And I, of course, am your host, Big Don. So, Josh, he's going to, like he enjoys doing, he's going to give us the general rundown
Don't worry, I got
of
you.
the pay-per-view.
Wait,
Deb
hold on.
actually...
Hold
okay.
on. Wait, hold on.
That's correct. Hold on. Before we continue, we need to have a little discussion about an episode that I was not a part of. However, I heard rumors
Oh, no.
that some words were said, and I want to make sure that we share with our listening audience while I am in the room what was said at that previous episode. Josh, would you like to share?
No, actually, I'm going to let Don share because he said them. They're his words.
It's a sharing circle.
Let me see. I said a lot of things.
Yes.
At PopCon, especially
3 letters.
Yeah, I said a lot of things at the PopCon recording. We talked a little bit about, I think, the pay-per-view at that time.
Don, you're stalling.
We talked about
MJF.
Right, and that's right. And the fact that MJF was on the pay-per-view was very good. He had a great promo.
Keep bringing it in, Don.
promo
Keep
was
bringing it in.
dynamite.
Keep bringing it in closer. Come on. MJF is the...
No, you can't say Deb. He has to.
I know. He needs
So
to
what
face
I
the truth.
said- well, now, let me just say, I was the one who actually said it. I said, Josh, you can let Deb know that as of right now, due to his promo on Dynamite, MJF is the best heel in the business.
And I agreed.
Yeah, and it's true.
All right,
Funny
so let's...
enough, though, he wasn't on the Forbidden Door
No.
paper. Oh.
He didn't need to be. Because he's the best heel in all of professional wrestling.
You're right.
Professional wrestling, people.
You're right.
And the one member of the Stable Podcast who called that, I think, a year ago. Who was that? Who was that? Okay, pretty sure.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm
The
not
doctor's diagnosis you can always trust.
Now, hang on.
Okay.
If we're
going with
gonna have
Dr.
a
Deb,
grudge
okay.
match.
Okay. All right.
Let's just say that when we had the conversation a year ago, I did say that at the time, he was definitely a top-tier heel. And at the time, he was competing against a Roman Reigns, who was and is now the double title holder of the WWE.
The WWE Undisputed Universal Heavyweight Champion.
Exactly.
Way too many words. Way too many words in a title. It does not need that many words. But moving on.
And
Moving on.
the at the time, now former women's AEW title holder, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, which you then at that time did not disagree with me on, but I at least gave you the fact that MJF was on his way up. Now, I think even at the time I said what MJF needs is a title belt. Because that would put him in that next tier.
And yet he still
then-
doesn't have one.
He doesn't.
And yet the
He
words
doesn't.
came out of your mouth.
But you know who does?
Who?
Jon Moxley. When did he win that title belt?
At the Forbidden Door.
Oh,
He went to Forbidden
nice.
Door.
Okay, great.
Spoiler. I will freely admit that I thought Roman Reigns was the better heel, and now MJF
And
is.
now MJF is.
But I think it might be smart for our own sanity right now to take the Tony Khan approach and just not talk about him.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, in
Trust the doctor's diagnosis. That's all I'm going to say. You have a good doctor, you trust the diagnosis. Even if you don't understand it yet, we understand it. So trust our diagnosis, gentlemen.
So I will say this, too. Something that you didn't happen to bring up because, trying to sully my good name.
She did a good job of it.
She did a great job. She did a great job of it. One thing we did say, though, we talked a little bit about how they can transition MJF into being not only AEW's top heel,
And future top face.
but also being a legitimate force to be reckoned with by giving him an opportunity at a belt. When CM Punk came out as being injured,
Yes.
whether it's a work or it's real life situations, he still needs a break. He's done a lot of things over the last year that have been incredible. He deserves a bit of a break. I told Josh, I may have even just sent it to our podcast group, that it would be a great opportunity for them to elevate him to that title picture now that CM Punk is on the shelf for a short time. Why not give him the interim belt? And now all of a sudden you have this blood feud when he comes back.
It's already built in as soon as
It's
you bring it
already
back.
built. MJF has a title belt. CM Punk has a title belt. You go champion versus champion for the undisputed AEW title belt. And it is an incredible show, and everybody loves it. And MJF just rockets to the moon.
And you have
I
even more
think-
promos.
Before we go, and we talked a little bit about this in episode 14.
Yeah.
But I think they're letting this cool off a little bit so that MJF, when he does return, it gets a bigger pop as well. I understand that he was top heel, and at that moment he most definitely was. But the way the fans are reacting to him right now, he won't be when he comes back.
Really?
I don't think so. So
Yeah.
that is, I think, another conversation topic for another time.
For another time.
Because this is Forbidden Door.
Yep.
Okay.
And
It
those
is.
are
Did we
hundreds.
just walk through a forbidden door with our conversation?
I know MJF is a good guy. That's forbidden in itself.
That
So
is just-
Dare you
just the
speak such blasphemy?
idea. My sir.
You, sir,
Good.
are going to have to defend that belt that you got right there.
okay, next time that
Next
we
time.
talk about it, because he's not even around right now.
No, he's
So,
not even active.
It doesn't matter. You can still talk about him.
That's,
Yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
That's true.
That's
but
true.
Tony Khan doesn't, so why should we?
That's right. Anyhow,
Going on to the buy-in for the AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door. First match of the night was, I'm going to mess up every one of these names, most likely. I'm just going to say that now, so please forgive me. This says Bishamon, Hiroku, Gato, and Yoshihashi versus the Factory of Aaron Solo and QT Marshall. And the winners of that one were Yoshihashi and Goto on Solo and QT Marshall. Honestly, because the Factory, for those that don't know, is Cody Rhodes and QT Marshall's wrestling school. It's called the Nightmare Factory, and the Factory is the faction that's split from the American Family or whatever they were called. The
Nightmare Family.
Nightmare
They're not
Family.
the They're the
I was
Nightmare
gonna say, are
Family.
they the ones who sell insurance?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's the other one. That's the other family.
Anyways, so they didn't have a great buy-in night at all because not only did Yoshihashi and Goto win, the Murder Hawk Monster Lance Archer then beat Nick Camarado of the Factory as well, which really wasn't that surprising because, I mean, I appreciate Nick Camarado because he's a big dude, big hairy dude, kind of looks like Ogre from the Revenge of the Nerds, but he got squashed. Nerds! Next, we have a tag team match of, they are calling themselves Swerve in Our Glory, of Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland versus Suzuki-gun of El Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemaru.
Sure.
You're doing a great job, Josh. You are doing
Keep
a
going.
great
Keep going.
job.
But it does appear that Swerve in Our Glory finally got on the same page. They've been kind of having not really a few.
Too many swerves and not enough going straight.
They kept swerving each other.
They're swerving each other, yeah.
But they got on the same page and picked up the victory. But then they were immediately challenged by Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs for a match at a later date, which is something that's been brewed for a while, / probably needs to be handled sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Those two teams with Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs against Keith Lee and Swerve, I don't see anything bad coming
No,
out of that.
not at all. And I believe they've already had one match.
They
I
have.
think they just won another one, which I'm okay
But
with.
I'm just saying, like, just watching Keith Lee and Powerhouse Hobbs, two huge,
Enormous humans.
huge guys, just like throw each other around and move as quick as they do.
Yeah.
Like
It's
they're
impressive.
nimble dudes.
Keith Lee is scary.
Yeah,
like
he is. He is
dexterous, isn't he?
fantastic. I love that dude.
Our final match for the buy-in was probably the more entertaining of this, which was the New Japan LA Dojo, part of New Japan Strong, made up of Alex Coughlin, Kevin Knight, the DKC, and Yuya Yamuri.
Sure.
Sarah?
Good
Keep
job.
going.
Sure.
Keep going.
Chew through it, baby.
Whoa. Fake it till you make it.
Versus the Gun Club of
Yes.
Billy, Austin, and Colton Gunn, and Platinum Max Caster, because, of course, his tag partner is still down. Next to maybe Hookhausen. This combination is probably the most entertaining combination in all
Yes,
elite wrestling right now.
I agree.
Because they have no problem with letting Max Caster do his rap, and then Colton and Austin proceed to completely screw up the name of the city they're in before handing it off to, why am I forgetting his tag partner's name?
That guy.
I don't remember. Anyways,
Wow.
he finishes it off with the Acclaimed have arrived after they do the right thing, and the crowd just loses their mind. It's fantastic, but they end up picking up the win. Caster hits the mic drop on DKC to pick up the win. So, very, very good way to get everybody interested. Get a bunch of people right on the card right at the beginning before we moved into the stuff that was going to continue on through the rest of the week, which brings us to our opening match.
Yes.
So I'm going to read.
I have a very quick caveat to the next. Have you watched the vignettes that the Gun Club does
Some of them, yes.
with Billy Gunn and stuff like that?
Yeah, Billy Gunn is like the dad that is so annoyed.
They
at their
are
kids.
the funniest Billy Gunn vignettes I think I have seen since D-Generation X.
Sure.
Wow.
They are so, because I haven't seen all of them, but I can distinctly remember watching one where like they were in Vegas and the Acclaimed and the Gun Club were hanging out in Vegas and partying and stuff like that, and then Billy Gunn comes into their hotel room.
Oh, yeah.
And his sons are passed out.
I didn't see that one.
Like in really
saw that one.
strange. They're in like really strange positions in the room, and then the Acclaimed are also passed out. One of them's in a bed. One of them's in a chair, and he's making fun of his own sons.
Anthony Bowens. His name is Anthony Bowens.
See, I was just stalling for you to get
Wait
that.
for
I
it.
was just
Wait
stalling
for
you
it.
to get
It's
that.
coming. It's coming.
That's right. So, wow. Get this train back on track.
Because he was in the wheelchair.
Yes.
That's why I
Yes.
remember it.
Yeah.
That's how you remember it as the wheelchair.
Sorry.
So,
It's a wheelchair that gets
That's
it,
right.
people.
Yes.
Always medical.
yes. So his sons are like passed out, and he's making fun of them in this video. And then he goes over to the Acclaimed, and one of them's laying on a bed. And he's like, "Oh, look at this sweet little guy," and he like pulls the blanket up on him, and he's like,
Tucks him into
and
bed.
then the other one, I think he like kisses his hand and then like touches his cheek or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just
It's silly.
the silliest videos.
Awkward and
ever.
silly.
They're so funny. And then he leaves. He leaves.
Just
I
leaves them
was
where
like,
they're
that's
at.
great. This is so. And I saw a very, very short. It was probably just a segment of a video with Chris Van Vliet and Billy talking about like his workout regimen and stuff like that. Because Billy's like, I think he's 52,
Something like that.
something
yeah.
like that, and like in the best shape of his entire life. And the dude is just jacked beyond jacked. But it's so cool to see that he's still having a ton of fun being a wrestler and stuff like that. And I've always loved Billy Gunn because he's just a ham and just so
Ridiculous.
Entertaining. So, but I know that we were going into the
We're 58.
58. He's almost 60.
Yeah.
What?
What is it about these 60 or over 60 guys that they're just like...
Billy Gunn is not almost 60. That is insane.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Wow.
Yep.
Well, they're making me feel terrible. I'm now a
Is he the
40-year-old, and I look
oldest-
at this guy and be like, I am nothing with my life at this moment. So
Is he the oldest guy in DX then?
That's a great question. I don't know how old Road Dogg is, so
But
yes, I
he's
can look
not.
it
But
up,
he's older than Triple H and
I
Shawn
believe so.
Michaels.
yeah, I think he's
right?
older than
'Cause
both of them.
Oh my!
I don't know.
That's
So anyway,
I could start getting on a
Good
computer and start
Lord.
looking all this stuff up for you, Don, but then I wouldn't be
No.
part of the
Sorry,
podcast.
That's a whole nother episode.
Exactly.
he's
we're
ready
just
to go
gonna
play in traffic now.
We're
so.
gonna have an episode where we just talk about the old guys.
Oh, the memory.
Starting with Sting, but that's later.
We're gonna be 10
That
years down
comes
the road from now
later.
going, oh, do you remember when Wheeler Yuta was such a
Yeah.
young pup?
He was a new guy. When I was a boy, wrestlers had one name: Theory.
Who's this Austin dude?
Who's
Anyways,
Austin?
right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go through these and kind of give a general who won the match and my own thoughts. But my lovely wife over here actually took notes.
Yeah,
Notes, because
Yeah.
I care.
that's right. And I got a chance to watch highlight videos, so I have ideas,
Yeah,
which are very different than notes.
very much. So the very first match of the night was actually a trios match to earn the man advantage for the Blood and Guts match that happened this Wednesday, and it was the Jericho Appreciation Society, made up of Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara, tagging with Minoru Suzuki from Suzuki Gun against Eddie Kingston, Shota Umino, and the Ring of Honor Pure Champion Wheeler Yuta. Couple of really big things about that. Number one, everyone loves Minoru Suzuki, and yet he was on the bad guys team.
Oh yeah. Well,
then-
he's not
Didn't
a
matter.
good guy.
He's not.
He's not a good guy.
He's like New Japan's Eddie Kingston.
Yes.
He doesn't know that this is not
No,
supposed to
it
be
isn't,
real.
it isn't fake for him.
It's not. So,
Not fake.
but Shota Umino is actually the son of Red Shoes. And for those who've seen anything in New Japan, like kind of frequently, there is a referee known for his red shoes. Thus, he's called Red Shoes. And Chris Jericho has knocked out Red Shoes when he was working in New Japan. So they did this whole like story spin on it, including towards the end of the match, Chris Jericho and the whole team beat Umino down and ultimately pinned Umino, but it took a lot. Like, it took everything they had. Guevara's finisher, the code breaker, the walls of Jericho. Am I reading your notes?
No, not quite. I just said that
Guevara.
Words
His name
matter.
You should get right.
Words matter. Guevara. Apparently, it's too late for Deb. Yuta and Kingston all thought they could fly? Question mark. Because that end series, they were all flying through the ropes, and I'm like, "What? You guys can't fly. What are you doing?" But they thought so.
The best part was watching Suzuki look like he was going to do it.
I know.
And stop and
And then he turns around and he's just like, "Nah, I'm not going to do it."
But as I said, Chris Jericho ends up using the Judas effect to knock out Umino to get the win and the man advantage for the Jericho Appreciation Society for Blood and Guts, which is how this War Games Blood and Guts style match normally plays out, that the heels get the man advantage because then the last guy coming in for the face is like big pop and they clear the ring before it becomes everybody for themselves, you know, when the match actually begins. Conversation for when we talk about Blood and Guts. But it was a really good opener. We got one from two different wrestlers from New Japan teaming with the other four from AEW, and it really showed what it was we were going to be dealing with throughout the night, because it wasn't
chaos
100% AEW versus New Japan.
No.
But we had a few of those moments, but this was a nice blend. Did you have any other notes?
No, I mean, that was primarily, it was a solid start. But that's AEW's, I don't want to say their shtick, but they always open strong. Like, I never have a question in an AEW pay-per-view that the opening is going to be something impressive, which I like, because you immediately got me. It's not okay, I got to survive the first two matches to get to something good. You know it's going to come out with a bang. So
Sure.
Well, and I think what's so cool about this opportunity, I know we're going to keep going through the card and there's going to be a lot of this, but I just want to say, like, out of the gate, New Japan is something that I'm fresh to. Like, it's not something that I know a lot about.
Same here.
I don't think any of us are like super strong in our New Japan knowledge. But it's so cool to have these opportunities, because now we have an opportunity to be introduced to these other wrestlers. And even if we don't watch New Japan on a regular basis, like being able to go and find highlight reels for people and being able to look up the information. Like, I love doing research on wrestlers that are one-off matches and stuff. Danhausen was that way for me. Like, I didn't know who Danhausen was. I just saw all of these posts constantly on social media, and I was like, let me go and check this guy out. And then I fell in love with Danhausen. I was like, this is hysterical. I love this.
Where has he been our whole lives?
So, yeah, I think that, going forward when we talk about these matches and stuff like that, obviously there'll be a lot of really good match detail. But one thing that I think we all, whether it's wrestling and gaming, really love is when you can do these really cool collaborations and stuff like that.
This is fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that by the time I got to... Well, I thought this one was really fun. And by the time you get into the third or the fourth match, you're just like... This is really fun.
It's really interesting.
Oh yeah.
Well, and the next match is a winner take all match. So there was some politics to this. If it was truly a winner take all, there would have been a third tag titles on the line. But apparently New Japan has a relationship with CMLL out of Mexico, but not as a result of them being a competitor to AAA. FTR couldn't defend their AAA tag titles.
Oh, so math.
It was the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, FTR, Cash Wheeler, and Dax Harwood, versus the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, the United Empire of the Great O'Khan and Jeff Cobb, which, by the way, and if you don't mind some not safe for work stuff, the Great O'Khan is effectively Billy Gunn, but with the Japanese set of rules instead of the United States set of rules. He is... He's a guy. Versus Roppongi Vice of Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta. So this match started almost immediately with Dax Harwood getting hurt.
Was that a work?
I don't know.
I still don't know if it's a work. That's one of my favorite part.
They played it up nicely, and I'll take it, whatever they did. So he had to leave, which meant Cash was left on his own.
It looked real.
And then about halfway back through the match, Dax returned with his shoulders taped up, and somebody has in here a quote that says, "The heart of Cash is unmatchable here." I don't know who Caprice is, but that's what it says.
Inspiring. I feel moved.
Yeah, that's right. Caprice was one of the guys in Ring of Honor, and he was doing co-commentary. So throughout the night,
what it was.
The main commentary team was Kevin Kelly, formerly of Ring of Honor, and does the New Japan call for the United States. Excalibur, who's the primary play-by-play for AEW,
Excalibur.
and then Taz, who was effectively doing color
commentary.
Yeah.
Throughout the night,
which is great because he's fantastic.
He is very good.
And Excalibur is great as a play-by-play. I love them.
Yeah,
both.
But throughout the night, they would bring in Tony Schiavone, or they brought in Caprice, and they brought in Jim Ross, and it was weird seeing Jim Ross be the guy brought in instead of
Yeah.
But it was interesting because Kevin Kelly is fantastic, and like if you're looking for technical information, I think Kevin has Jim Ross a little bit beat, whereas Jim is very good at pushing the story.
Oh yeah,
Obviously that's that WWE versus Ring of Honor like training
narrative versus the action.
Yes,
but it was interesting that they got advantage of all of that. Rotating them through gives you the different flavor as you go through it. It's actually, I think, it was a really smart play. But you've got your solid. You got Excalibur is going to do a play-by-play. And he's solid all the way through. And Taz is your color, solid all the way through. I actually thought it was an interesting... I wonder if Tony Khan's trying it out for like future stuff to see, can we do this in other...
Well, I mean, he might as well, because they've got the advantage of like the Ring of Honor stuff now too. So being able to kind of play with those dynamics throughout.
And if they can bring, because Ian Riccaboni's the one that does Ring of Honor primarily now that Kevin Kelly has moved on to do other stuff. But now that he's got this pool of talent, and New Japan already had him, so it was easy to bring in Kevin. It's going to be interesting, especially so the CEO or owner or president, whatever, of New Japan has already said that he's ready to do another one and really thinks this should be done in Japan as well. So,
but they can't cheer in Japan.
Well, in time.
Okay.
They can't right now.
Is that time. They can't cheer
because of our current health policy.
Okay.
Not ours, theirs.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's their health policy right now, which is I respect the health policy.
That would be so tough.
But without any cheering in that environment.
Well, which is why it was fun. If you look at Jay White's win for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, he literally called on the crowd to cheer. 3 times. It's like, I want to hear you. Like, I'm the champ now. I want to hear you. And it's pretty amazing. But we'll get to him a little bit later.
Yeah, we will.
Anyways, so I love what AEW put on here to summarize kind of the end of this. They go, Roppongi Vice used stereo rising knee strikes on Cobb. Jeff Cobb, by the way, I'm editorializing. Jeff Cobb is a scary Samoan. He's a big dude, and he can throw people around.
Yep.
And it's really surprising how
hold on.
nimble he is as well. He's a scary Samoan.
Is he scarier than Roman Reigns?
He's shorter than Roman Reigns.
That doesn't
but
tell me anything.
I wouldn't call him scarier.
Shorter? I mean,
That's what I said. That's
You know who's scarier than Roman Reigns?
The Rock.
Samoa Joe.
Samoa Joe.
I'm sorry. If I was standing, if I was standing in an alley and The Rock was on one end of the alley and Samoa Joe was on the other end of the alley, I would walk towards The Rock.
Yeah. Less likely to lose an arm.
I'm just saying, Samoa Joe is insane.
Yep. Which he will be defending his television championship against Jay Lethal very soon.
Yes.
Yes. So, anyways, continuing what they said here, but Cobb regained composure and smashed Rocky with a standing moonsault. A standing moonsault. Jeff Cobb, big guy throwing people around, does a standing moonsault. Anyways.
Pulls a Keith Lee.
Yeah. Roppongi Vice used their strong zero flying dropkick combo on Cobb for a near fall, only to then have FTR come in and hit Rocky Romero with a big rig for the win, which means FTR are now the Ring of Honor, IWGP Heavyweight, and AAA Tag Team Champions.
Yep.
And the number one contenders for the Young Bucks AEW Tag Titles.
Three times.
That is a lot going on there.
So excited about
all
that.
the belts.
All the
Just
belts.
All the belts.
Taz. This is arguably the greatest tag team you'll find, and all these championships prove it. That was Taz's comment about FTR.
Yeah.
And they are clearly the best tag team, which is amazing because the Young Bucks are the best tag team like going today right now.
Yeah.
But for the year 2022, FTR's better.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've been that way the whole time, but right now, FTR is amazing.
They were in NXT.
Yeah.
They were great in NXT.
If you put
They
those
were.
two together in NXT versus the Young Bucks when they first came into AEW,
Yeah.
I would say they are still a better tag team. But I agree. I 100% agree with you.
Somebody's just right. We're going to have a tag team discussion. We still have a whole other episode to dedicate the guy that walked out on AEW.
We're not talking about that right now. That's not now. That's later. Next.
Next, did you have any notes for the tag match?
No, other than I'm still trying to figure out if it was a true injury for Dax because it looked legit.
See,
But then the taping looked like it was actually okay. As a doctor, there's fake taping and then there's real taping. It looked like they actually were trying to protect the shoulder, but then I saw the stuff that he's doing and I was like, okay, then maybe he's
and
not.
he
I couldn't figure it out.
wrestled on Dynamite.
Yes.
Yes, with Danhausen.
Right. But depending on what he did, it could have been okay to do that.
He was Dax Shepard.
Well.
Dynamite.
That's Harwood.
That's what I meant.
Harwood. Dax
Shepard?
Shepard is a different guy.
Yeah, he married to Anna.
I know.
Words
I like
matter.
him.
All right.
Married to Elsa and Anna.
Oh, that's awkward.
Just Anna.
Bell.
Kristen Bell, yeah.
That's
Thanks,
awkward.
Dax. Our ninth watcher.
Yep, that's right.
Moving on.
Next is the backstage segment with Tony Schiavone talking to Juice Robinson, the holder of the IWGP United States Championship, and Switchblade Jay White, the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. The reason why I say holder is because the current IWGP United States Champion is Will Ospreay, because
Yes, it is.
Juice Robinson couldn't compete because COVID, and then they did a fatal four-way, which Will Ospreay won, but Robinson had the title. So this whole promo was about Jay White saying he's going to walk out champion, and Juice Robinson saying, oh, the Will Ospreay Orange Cassidy match is really just a number one contenders match for my title, which I am the champion of. Okay, Juice, you're going to lose it to Will, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll get to that later.
Ooh, keep going. We can't get to it later unless we talk about the stuff now.
AEW's new All-Atlantic Championship, because that's exactly what AEW needs, is another singles championship.
Well, I mean, they got enough talent. They got to put something on somebody.
I mean, valid, but anyway, I'm happy with the result, even if it
I
still
am too.
seems confusing to me that they have another champion. But
The combination of these names, nothing bad could have
Nothing.
happened. Unless you injure. Injury's
well,
bad. But otherwise,
and this was an interesting dynamic. So it was the Bastard Pack
Yep.
versus the Redeemer Miro
Yep.
versus Malachi Black, the leader of the House of Black, versus not Tomohiro Ishii, but Clark Connors. So Ishii got hurt in the match with Clark Connors.
Yeah.
And the way New Japan ruled this was because Ishii was hurt, he lost by forfeit, thus giving the victory to Clark Connors. I'm like, wow, that's real.
I'm so confused now. Real? I'm lost.
It's okay.
Okay.
Wrestling is real.
You lost me at real,
it
but
is
okay.
real to us.
I have on here though that
Ask
Clark
Eddie
Connors.
Kingston.
Yes, ask. Yes. No, don't.
He's
You'll
the
get
only
hurt.
witness I need.
That's right. It's real.
I thought it was a great show for Connors. I actually wrote
Yes.
down that they really. I don't know if showcased is quite the right word, but they gave him time to shine because when you're against those other three wrestlers, you can fade into the background and just be wallpaper. But he wasn't. He actually did some really solid stuff. So I'd like to see more of him. I thought what he did was really good. So if he comes in as a match, I'm going to remember him as that was the guy that I wasn't expecting much of, but did a really great job.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
No, I completely agree. Thinking through this match, the beginning of the match was Miro killing everybody.
Yes. Accurate.
Malachi and Pac started to get some of their offense in before Clark Connors was like, everybody focused on making Clark look really good.
They did.
Including a table spot where Clark Connors put Miro through a table with a spear on the outside, which was brutal. But the victory came when Miro booted the bastard, stomped Pac in the spine, and then put him in the game over, which is, of course, his camel clutch. Malachi sprayed Miro with the black mist. Connors and Black jockeying for position, but Pac jumped onto them with a 450, locking. Then Pac got out, locked Connors in the brutalizer to get the win.
Which is not
there
surprising.
was a lot going on between Black Mist, the kick from Black, which I think they went for submission afterwards, and Pac came off with the 450, I think, on the Malachi Black, but then turned around and hit Clark Connors with the brutalizer submission hold. The bell rang. Bastard held on to it, but then he walked out with the championship. And that is a long overdue championship win for Pac. This guy has been with him since the beginning. He had the hardest time getting in and out of the United Kingdom, so he missed a good portion of the pandemic on TV. But now he's back. He's doing great with Death Triangle, and he's now the All-Atlantic champion, challenging any international wrestler. Like, that's the big promo he did after he won, is that he wants to be able to challenge anybody, not just AEW.
The options.
So many.
So
Fans
many.
chanted, "You deserve it," afterwards.
He did.
I mean, they're not wrong.
No, they don't.
I
They're
thought
not.
he absolutely deserved it. It was a great match. They've all been great matches so far.
Yeah, well, the next match, which was for one night only, the Young Bucks rejoining Bullet Club.
Yep.
So awesome.
With El Phantasmo and Hikuleo on the outside versus the Dudes with Attitude.
No. Dudes with tudes.
The Dudes with Attitudes, that's right. There's plural because they have multiple attitudes.
Correct.
Apparently.
Dudes with tudes.
Dudes with Tudes. Of Darby Allin, Shingo Takagi, and when the match began, it was supposed to be Sting. And they're looking all over the arena like, where's Sting? Like, they looked up in the rafters and there's no Sting. And then they go to the stage and there's a spotlight and you see Sting. Like, where the heck is Sting? And then he comes and he jumps off of the entrance onto the Bullet Club.
Sting is nuts.
Yeah.
That was your note?
Right there.
Yep.
Yep.
And I also have thank you to all of the men who caught him. I'm pretty sure that if they hadn't caught him, they would have all been fired.
There are 4 guys. There are 4 guys down there.
That's
to
right.
Catch him.
To catch Sting. You better believe it.
He's 63 years old and jumping off of this thing and then continued on.
Nuts.
He took 2 super kicks and no-sold it. Like simultaneous dual super kicks. Now, he didn't no-sell the triple. Mind you, El Phantasmo missed. Which I'm not judging. I'm not. Look, I can't do this.
It happens.
Some other stuff happened too, so
But there were so many moments where Sting was just like he was the guy. Like Sting did his thing.
Yes.
And just absolutely amazing how that all went down.
He looks way
I love watching him do the
too good.
Yeah.
For 63. And I say that and I'm like, what's wrong with you? No. I'm sorry.
He's taking
Yes.
Well, but he does
it smart. It's smart how they present him. They don't do too much, but what they do always looks great.
Yeah,
And it's funny to me that they put him in positions to no sell as often as they do, but I also feel like he is at the same level as The Undertaker. I mean, he is AEW's version of The Undertaker.
Yes.
Well, yeah, it's funny. Conversation when we talk about Dynamite later, but it looks like they might be gearing up Luchasaurus for that because he did a heel turn on
I know
Wednesday.
that. Yeah, I know that. But I'm just saying, like, in general, when I think of the acclaim and the status of the icon and the respect of the icon, I put him in the same category as a guy like The Undertaker.
Sure, absolutely.
And seeing him no sell super kicks, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense for where they want him to be for their company, versus taking buckle bombs and things like that.
But here was the real standout. Shingo Takagi is another guy who's not a young chicken.
No.
But he's got a rabid fan base in New Japan. And he's the one, first off, his finishing maneuver is called the Last of the Dragon.
That's cool.
I'm on board.
Yeah.
That's
If anyone knows me, knows how much I enjoyed everything related to dragons.
You had him at Dragon.
His finisher is called the Last of the Dragon, which is fantastic. And he ended up picking up the win on El Phantasmo. Excalibur Shingo has so many tools at his disposal, but he pulled out the big gun to put away El Phantasmo. These quotes are entertaining. If you've not looked at the results on AEW's page, they're pretty good. It was a very good match.
It was.
I appreciated that very much. And then we went to a backstage segment where the Wizard Chris Jericho threw fire in Umino's face.
We went into a Dungeons and Dragons segment. That's exactly what it has. Because Chris
he's a
Jericho,
wizard.
because he can breathe fire. Are we sure that he's not a dragon who's in a human
He doesn't
form?
breathe fire. He throws fire.
Mine was cooler. Fine.
I understand that,
Lightning
but
bolt, yeah.
He can throw fireball. He can actually cast fireball.
well, hold on, stop.
This is the dream
We're
of my
crossing the
nerdy.
streams to other podcasts.
My dream of my nerdy life is to cast fireball.
If they have not
I wanna
figured out
cast
that
fireball.
we're massive nerds by now,
That's valid.
yeah.
Point.
Well.
All right, moving on. After the fireball.
Any other notes for that match?
After the 3d6 damage.
Yeah, no, I just have. I've already shown you Sting is nuts. And I just thought that I wrote Sting still looks great. Period.
Okay, fair.
I agree.
Next is our AEW Women's World Championship match, which we're hoping in the future we'll get to see some of the Stardom organization out of Japan. So New Japan Pro Wrestling does not have a women's division, but they have Stardom, which is a women's wrestling company dedicated to purely women's wrestling. Well, the night before, Stardom had a pay-per-view.
And there's a ton of AEW talent and indie talent that have wrestled for Stardom.
have experience there. Yes.
Yeah. I think Hex the Hex has done it.
That's NWA.
I'm saying they have wrestled
believes
with
that they have
Stardom.
wrestled
Ruby
with
Soho
Stardom.
has wrestled with Stardom and stuff like that.
Sheeta, I think, came from
Yeah.
that group.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Well, so the AEW Women's World Championship match of Thunder Rosa, the current champion, versus Toni Storm.
Yeah.
And this was definitely, I have to agree with some of the reviews that I saw, that this was Thunder Rosa's best defense by far.
Good.
And it was Toni Storm's best AEW match so far. Toni Storm pulled out a lot of German suplexes. There was one even on the hardest part of the ring.
Hardest part of the ring, yeah,
side of
the
ring, yeah.
apron.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Anyways, we just have to follow along with that. There were Northern Lights suplexes. There were DDTs onto the floor.
Yeah.
Just so many things
So
came out of
good.
this. And the ending resulted with Thunder Rosa hitting her Thunder Driver,
Yep.
and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was trying to figure out what to do next, and she pulled out Dustin Rhodes' Reckoning, Final Reckoning finisher, which Dustin is her trainer, her
Right.
coach, to get the win. It was
And they had the
just.
same makeup artist.
Do they really?
I don't know.
That just-
Whoever it is can
they-
only paint one half of the face.
You know, it's probably because they're doing her face and his face
At the same time, they just sit right next to each other.
It's cross-eyed.
Yeah.
They have one face between the two of them that gets painted.
They have two. They're ambidextrous, so they have two paintbrushes in their hand at the same time, but they can't paint opposite sides of the face.
We're gonna get beat up by Dustin
That's so
Rhodes
good.
and Thunder Rosa.
That is so good.
I'm all right with that.
That's
Oh my god.
I don't know why, but
What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
so I thought that was a good match. Do you have anything
It was.
to add to that?
No, my only comment, which I was just thinking through, because it was a great match, but looking at the rest of the card, when you look at this card, there is no bathroom match. You know the match, it's slower, everybody knows it's gonna be okay, but this is where I go and I get my snack, I buy my t-shirt, or I go to the restroom. The only spot in here would have been this match, and that's not really fair to what they did. I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm just saying, if I was at that pay-per-view, this is when I would have left to take my break. I don't think that was really just, and yet, what else could they do?
AEW is not really good at that.
No, and that's a rhythm that I think that they need to think about, because if you're always gypping your female wrestlers...
Well, yes. If they're gypping the female wrestlers, that's a
the
problem.
only one match that had female wrestlers in it.
I don't necessarily have a problem with them not having the break match, though.
That's what I was referring to. Yeah.
Because you're look, WWE you're paying $5 or $10 to Peacock to get their shows. You're paying $50 to watch an AEW show.
It's a pay-per-view. You're paying for a pay-per-view.
They are making that money, making it worth it for both the live crowd and having been to the live crowd. I mean,
Yeah.
even it took literally to the second to last match when we were at All Out for us to even feel comfortable getting up. But that's because of the type of fan we are.
Right.
There are other fans that don't have a problem running out during different matches. But you cannot argue that your ticket price or your pay-per-view price were worth it for an AEW show.
Yeah, why do you spend the money on going to the Super Bowl to watch a really bad football game and a good halftime show, or vice versa, versus paying the money that you would to be able to see a really good football game and a really good halftime show? Like, you're getting your money's worth when you're spending it for the brand.
I get what you're saying. I'm trying to play the practical card, which is if I'm a wrestler and I've already had 2 beers, 3 beers by this point, maybe I'm at 4, depends how good the night is, and I've been through 4 matches at this point.
If you've had 4 beers by that point, you're trying too hard.
I'm just saying, there are people who could probably beat it. Anywho.
$15 a beer, whatever they were.
Okay, you have a point. Or yeah. Either way, look at this match card. It's smack literally right in the middle. So it is the sandwich match. Mm-hmm. And you know what's coming because you know that you're going to have your championship matches later. So by this point, you're like, this is my best shot. So from a practical standpoint, this is going to be the match that's going to get gypped. I'm like...
Or you just take those breaks during promos.
You might, but you also don't know what's coming next. Sure. So you sit in your seat until you know what's coming next. Because the next match might be Will Ospreay and Orange Cassidy. I'm sorry. Did I move it?
Anyway. But the thing is the trios match before the Women's World Championship match could have also been that for somebody. I acknowledge that Sting is in it and Shingo
Darby Allin
and the Young Bucks. Like these
nuts.
are very popular fans, but when you're looking at that match and what that match represented for the evening, in the long run, it didn't mean anything.
The stakes are much lower in that match than a Tony Storm.
Fair.
Like
I'll give you that.
This point,
I'll give you that point.
In the entire card, there are 2 matches that didn't have big stakes to them, and it was the trios match and then the Zack Sabre Jr. match later.
Right.
There were no stakes, even though there was a surprise.
Yeah, I was going to say the problem is we'll get there. I will give you that point. I will acknowledge that.
I agree that it often happens, especially if there's only one women's match, which is why I'm of the opinion there should be more than that. Mm-hmm. But on the same note, they had so much they were putting on this card. At least the women's world title got defended.
I was going to say, as long as it's not a Jade Cargill match, then I'm fine with that.
Hey, now, she's a superstar, so that is a conversation for another time as well.
That's another show.
Write her down, too. Goodness.
Next match.
Okay, so the match that clearly stole the night. And I cannot believe what Will Ospreay, the IWGP United States Champion, and Orange Cassidy pulled off.
I finally get the rabid fans for Ospreay. I had never seen a full Ospreay match from bell to bell. I get it. Okay, I get it now. You can tell me Will Ospreay is going to do a song and dance and then wrestle. I'm going to watch it. You could tell me that he is going to, I don't know, he's just going to stand there and wave his arms. I'm going to watch it because this was something good.
Yeah.
I can't say fantastic. It on. It was.
Orange Cassidy is clearly the experiment that succeeded in AEW. There was, I mean, and Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer, which a lot of people know who this guy is, said early on in AEW's existence that he thought it was a bad idea to sign Orange Cassidy, and has since gone on record saying, I was wrong. Clearly, he's a draw. And after you see this match with him and Will, where, yes, there were elements of the comedy and the light kicks and the I don't really care to be here.
The characterization was solid throughout. Like, I wrote this in here. Like, Cassidy keeps his character of the orange aspect, and Ospreay keeps the character, so they don't lose that at any point, which is good. And yet he then turns it on, and he can hang with Will flippin' Ospreay,
who may or he is clearly in the conversation.
He's arguably one of, if not the best, in the game right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's
in the discussion.
Conversation.
Yeah.
And it took not only his hidden blade to put Orange Cassidy down, but he had to bring out that Stormbreaker finisher of his, which, wow.
Yeah.
What a finisher. To put him down. And as much as I enjoyed what it took, and the finish came off incredibly well, the post-match shenanigans, of course, that had to happen where Chaos got involved and this and that, like
the shades, the sunglasses, all the hearts and flowers for the sunglasses.
So
I almost cried with the sunglasses.
I didn't know who Shibata was.
Oh.
So I learned some stuff. And
you got some learning.
When Chaos, which is the best friends, and Roppongi Vice all got kind of beaten down by the United Empire, I can't remember his first name, but Shibata from New Japan came out, and the crowd lost their mind when his music hit. And again, I'm like, who is this guy?
If Shibata shows up, I will cry.
Yeah.
It was a sign that somebody had up.
And I'm getting ready to tell you why. So Shibata comes out, clears the ring, gets everybody out there. Orange Cassidy goes to put his shades on, turns him around, puts them on Shibata, does the thumbs up. We get the really cool AEW moment. Oh, I'm like, that's cool. I don't even know who this guy is. The fans clearly love it. That's good stuff. So I did my research, found out Shibata had a career-threatening brain injury a few years ago.
Yeah.
And just returned like 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
No wonder the United Center about blew the lid off when the guy showed up.
No wonder he would have cried. Get the man a Kleenex. Yes.
Right.
That is legit.
It is a Bryan Danielson edge
level return.
Return. It is. You watch these athletes who spend their entire life to get where they're at.
Yeah.
And then, they take a bump the wrong way, or somebody's not as safe as they should be, or something like that, or even if it's just a very simple mistake.
Accidents happen.
And accidents happen, and this is one of the reasons why, for sure, when we're talking about wrestling, we're huge wrestling fans. We're huge marks for wrestling in general. And I think that things like that are why we get a little defensive sometimes when people are like, oh, it's fake, it's made up. It's like, right, but so are movies, and people still get hurt on movie sets.
That's right.
These are athletes that are going out and they're doing what they love. I mean, I've seen rock stars who have fallen off of the stage and broken their legs and then come back with a cast on to finish their set. Thank you, Steve Grohl.
Yep.
I mean Dave Grohl?
Or Dave Grohl. I don't know names. Steven Tyler, David Grohl, Dax Shepard, Dax Harwood, Mickey Mouse.
Make it. Don't you disrespect
Minnie
the
Driver.
mouse.
Got it.
Minnie Driver. Yeah, nice. All right. So
I don't know names.
We got 3 matches.
You understand what I'm saying.
We got 3 matches
know what
to go.
I'm
I
saying.
wrote notes.
You know what I'm saying.
She has more notes on the pre.
Just
of
a
course
few.
she does. She's
Just
smart.
a few. You got half a page.
She knows words.
No, it's just this much for that one match.
That's true.
It's just this much.
It's just
for that
this
one.
much. Yeah. Well, so I was writing fast because I was trying to watch it at the same time, being like, okay, do this. So there was a crispness and a precision to what they did because I was trying to figure out why did it look so good. Even the ugly landings somehow looked really good. They weren't that ugly. The timing was excellent. The Spanish Fly that got reversed was gorgeous. And I said it's the best match of the night, and that's saying something. Because there were several others that would be in contention for the best match of the night. And yet, Freshly Squeezed versus Ospreay took the show. And I'm like, how did that happen? Because they are that good.
Our director, Lance, sent me a text here that kind of defines what it is about Orange Cassidy that he likes, and I think most of us are. He's the anti-Stone Cold. He never gets angry, but he has the heart of the crowd. He gets intense.
Yeah.
But
especially when you break his sunglasses.
Yeah. Which I'm going to throw this out there for those that didn't see the Mimosa Mayhem match between Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho.
It's so good.
Which the way you win is to knock your opponent into a vat of mimosa.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yep.
That was enough to make me a fan of Orange Cassidy anyways, because he was just on board with it.
Yeah.
And then in that match, Chris Jericho hit him with a bag of oranges. It was hilarious. Anyways, digressing. Now we go on to our surprise opponent match of the evening with Zack Sabre Jr., who was supposed to face Bryan Danielson, but Bryan apparently wasn't feeling well or something was going on about 8 days before the show.
Yeah, he just wasn't medically
He's not 100%, is what Tony Khan said in the scrub. The scrum afterwards. He said that.
He was... the interview said that Bryan commented that he was not feeling well right before the pay-per-view, so he's just like, you know what? We're going to pull you from this, and we're going to pull you from the Blood and Guts match. And I guess Bryan Danielson mentioned who the surprise, like he was like, I think this guy would be a good option. Tony Khan, at that point, it revealed to Bryan that he had already signed him.
Oh, that's awesome.
No one knew
until
that point who he had signed.
Oh my gosh!
Not holding off any longer.
That makes me feel so much better about this.
Yes.
So they brought in the former Cesaro,
a ringer. They brought in a ringer.
Yes, they did.
Baby.
So this is important, and I want everybody, because I'm having to remind myself of how his name is Claudio Castagnoli.
Yeah,
Castagnoli.
Castagnoli.
So there's a G in there, but it's totally silent. So it's Castagnoli. Claudio Castagnoli.
Yeah. It sounds Italian, and yet he's Swiss.
It is. Yeah.
Well, it's Swiss. Whatever.
Interesting, but it sounds.
It's great.
It's great.
Italian. So the match begins with Claudio hitting his uppercut and the neutralizer on Zach.
Oh my
and getting a close two call right off the bat.
Oh my god!
Great. I thought it was over then. I'm like, oh well, that was.
In the words, I did watch some major highlights from that match. In the words of Simon Miller from What Culture Wrestling, it was like 2.9999999.
Yeah, it was quite.
Oh my
quite
god!
Tricking everyone to think that's the match. Everybody.
That's it.
It was not the match.
Here's your bathroom break. Squash match by Claudio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we then proceeded to get a clinic.
Yes.
Between Zach and Claudio.
This would have been the best match of the night, in my opinion, if they hadn't already done Ospreay and Orange Cassidy, because of how technically precise.
It was a very technical match.
I love those matches. I love watching the reverses of the reversals and into the flow between the different holds. I was fascinated the whole way through, but I'm a nerd.
At one point, Zack Sabre Jr. Reversed the sharpshooter into a heel hook.
Yes.
There were just so many things that Zach was able to pull off while Claudio was just hoisting this man all around, throwing him in the air, hitting him with uppercuts, whatever. But I didn't realize that this was his finisher when he was Claudio before him, but he used a form of the powerbomb, and he crossed the arms beforehand. And it's called the Ricola powerbomb. And the crowd is supposed to, but now that they're getting used to it, and they're like, "Oh, it's back." The crowd does the Ricola.
So good, so good.
So, and then
I have to experience this in my life. I have to do this at a pay-per-view.
Which orchestral song is that?
Yeah, the
1812 overture.
That is his theme song. If you haven't noticed that, because I did, I was like, really? It is a variant of the 1812 overture. So
well, I mean, if you think about the guys that he's now connected
the Flight of the Valkyries.
It makes sense.
Absolutely.
Hello.
Well, and what did William Regal used to come out to? Pomp and Circumstance or something
no,
like that?
No, he's a man's man. It was a thing. Whatever.
Okay.
They joked. Brian
Okay.
Danielson joked with him about that WWE.
Yeah.
But yes, he had that very like dark and brutal.
Yeah. It's like very classic.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Anyways, Claudio.
A man's man.
yeah,
Oh my god.
That's what happened. I'm not making that up. Make no mistake, he's a pro wrestler and not a sports entertainer. Referring to Claudio from Jim Ross. Claudio is a part of the Black Bull Combat Club, which again it comes up with the Blood and Guts match on Wednesday night. That was a heck of a match. Do you have any other comments?
No, I mean, for those who are a technical wrestling fan, watch this match. It will make your life happy.
The only note that I have just from the highlights and stuff that I watched was it is incredible to know that this match followed Will Ospreay and Orange Cassidy.
Yes.
Which, in my opinion, should have had the hype of the crowd. But listening to that crowd pop when Claudio came out reminded me of being in Chicago when CM Punk came out.
Yeah.
I mean, it was maybe to some it wasn't at that level, but I just think it is so. First of all, I love that guy. Like, Claudio is such a classy dude, and I think that it's so cool. As much as you want to bark up a tree, you're barking up the wrong tree when it comes to me. I think it's fantastic to be able to see these guys who, you know, weren't well used, didn't have great storylines, had a short push, and then just kind of got left on the back burner for so long, to now be in a position.
You can see what they're capable of.
Right. Even if Tony Khan doesn't necessarily use them to their full extent, being able to feature them as they should have been featured, even if it's in a one-off storyline every once in a while, it's so nice to be able to see these guys, former WWE, former Ring of Honor wrestlers come into AEW and really do a fantastic job.
I think that's a match that we would never have seen in WWE.
That
Not
is a
trying
fact.
to be mean
Yeah,
or
that's a
anything,
fact.
but I just don't think it would have been seen.
The-
Because that fan base, it just doesn't strike me that would have been their cup of tea. Maybe I'm wrong, or the length of time the match took. I mean, because there were some slow parts as they were going technical and moving things through. I just don't think it would have ever worked, but it worked, and the crowd was there the whole time in this pay-per-view.
I think where I would I agree with you mostly, but where I would disagree with you was when they did the most recent Cesaro Seth Rollins push.
Okay.
That was
All right.
fantastic.
Okay.
That was honestly
All right.
probably one of the best storylines that they had
Okay.
for Cesaro in WWE.
Sure.
Like, period.
Fair.
Because both of those guys are performers.
Yes.
You know, and they know that they can play
Yeah.
the whole ring with one another. You
All
know,
right.
and if Seth decides he's going to do something off the top rope, Claudio will catch him.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because that man is a freak.
Because that
man
yes.
is a freak.
Yes, he is.
All right, so 2 more matches to go.
Sorry.
It's okay.
It's okay.
I
'cause it
digress.
was,
Both world title matches.
Yep.
First, we have the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship pitting the champion Switchblade Jay White versus Adam Cole, versus
Baby.
Hangman Adam Page versus the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada.
This match makes my heart hurt.
The ending does, but otherwise,
no,
there's-
that's all I mean is the ending.
I'm gonna say I love and I hate. I'm loving and hating simultaneously.
Okay, so to try and simplify this, this is a fatal 4-way done the right way,
Yep.
where you don't have pairings. You often will have 2-on-1s where Adam Cole and Switchblade were teaming up on one of the others. They're constantly teasing Adam Page and Okada because that's the match people are ultimately wanting to see, even though we're not quite getting it quite yet. And then
Gotta hold the carrot out and dangle.
When is this going to happen? When's Switchblade going to turn on Adam Cole? When's
Yep.
Adam Cole going to turn on Switchblade? They had all these weaving things in there. I am ungodly impressed at how good Kazuchika Okada is. And he's 6'3". He was the tallest guy in the ring, as it was. And he's just like Jim Ross's comment about he's a once-in-a-lifetime performer. Like, there were so many things that went right in this. There was a part where Adam Cole super kicked Adam Page out of a moonsault.
Yep. There's one where they're all laid out because they all this order. One kicks one, the other kick. I mean, at one point they just all move, and then they're all just laid out, and you're like, You can fight forever. I think that's when they started chanting
Yeah.
fight forever. I think
Yeah.
something like that. It was so many. Yeah, Okada's ridiculous. He's another like amazing freak of wrestling nature.
Jay White?
Oh, and Jay White too. That's the thing. Okada and Jay White
okay.
are both amazing, and I didn't realiad how good they both were. Forgive me.
Jay White is. I did not realize that he had not been heavyweight champion yet. I know he was intercontinental. Like Jay White is going to be the defining wrestler for the remainder of this year for New Japan.
His heel work is great. No, don't get me wrong. MJF is the best heel in the business. However,
He's not currently in the business.
He is on vacation.
Jay White
MJF is the best heel in Florida. Or wherever. New
probably
Jersey, Long Island, wherever, yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of people in Long Island. Anyway.
He's the best heel in his recliner.
Okay, well, Jay White is a great heel. I love Jay White as a heel, is what I'm trying to
That's
get
fair.
across somewhere in this conversation.
Well, he's also leader of Bullet Club. He has the success that like there's a lot of that. What worked for the New World Order has worked for Bullet Club, but Bullet Club has also made themselves stand out both by transitioning people in and out and keeping their ranks relatively small. You know, something that the New World Order could not figure out how to do.
And fresh.
Not even close.
And fresh.
And relevant.
And while not only while being fresh, because when they're bringing in guys, they're Chris Bay from Impact, and they just added another guy from Impact right now, one of the X Division champion, who's absolutely incredible. But it allows for the Bullet Club to be in Impact Wrestling while they're still working in New Japan. And then they brought back Gallows and Anderson after they kicked out the Girls of Destiny. Like Bullet Club, again, another topic for another day. But so AEW does a great job of summarizing the end. Okada clocks Cole with a picture-perfect dropkick. Hangman was about to jump into the ring with a buckshot lariat, but Cole super kicked him. Okada hits landslide on Cole. Jay White.
That is not the order that it happened in.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm reading what AEW.
No, I know. I'm telling you that's not the order it happened in because
Jay
I watched
White
it 8
jumps
times in a row.
Jay White jumps in, takes Okada down with a Blade Runner, and then Jay White grabs Adam Cole, rolls him up, steals the pin. I understand that is not how it went down because if I understand it correctly, Adam Cole hit Adam Page with the super kick.
First he hits Okada with a super kick, then he hits Page with a super kick, and the super kicks look fine.
Right, and then he turns around and gets hit with landslide.
No.
Okay.
He gets hit by the drop kick by
Another
Okada.
drop kick, okay.
That drop kick, he's looking a little wobbly.
Okay.
Because, like I said, I watched it 8 times.
Jay White gets the victory, retains the IWGP championship.
The landslide is where the problem got sealed. I think the drop kick started it, and I think the landslide finished it because Cole takes a hit hard on the head. I don't think he's in the right position when you look at the landslide. And so the head position isn't right. And if your head position isn't right in that move, so Cole, I think, was not doing well and then got fully concussed in the landslide. And then at that point, Jay White slides in, he lays eyes on Cole a second, and then goes straight for Okada, and that's when he does the
Blade Runner.
The Blade Runner on him. Beautiful Blade Runner, by the way.
Sister Abigail.
And then comes and pins Cole. Now, I had several people that were like, I saw him there like, why didn't he just pin Okada? Like, that didn't make any sense. Well, first of all, it could have been written that way. Second, if he pins Okada, if they still had another set to go through, then Okada might have kicked out to continue, because I don't think Okada knew that Cole had a problem. Whereas you pin Cole, Cole takes the pin, and we can actually end this, and we can actually get Cole help. I think White his experience was totally was a fantastic thing right there, which is another thing. Well, I think I'm going to be a Jay White fan for life because he just totally read that situation, and he was the one who told the ref that Cole had a problem.
Yeah, but I also believe that they're going to set up eventually the either Undisputed or the Undisputed Elite versus Bullet Club. Because I'm not convinced that the Undisputed and Elite are going to stay together. Again, conversation. Fair. So many things get weaved in here. So, Adam Cole, please get better. We're fans. We have pictures to prove it.
Yes.
And
all day.
Don's favorite moment of Squared Circle Expo.
Yeah, absolutely. As it should be.
And I had a lot.
Yeah.
So please get better.
Please get better soon.
And now we move on to our AEW Interim World Championship match. And this is our final match for the evening, which pitted Black Bull Combat Club's Jon Moxley with William Regal, who was on commentary, versus Hiroshi Tanahashi, who is the ace of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and another guy who's in his older years has been doing this a long time.
Isn't he in his 40s as well?
I think he's might be 50s.
Really? He looks
I'm
fantastic
not-
if he's 50. I'm just saying.
But he, as John Moxley said, is the guy that he's been trying to hunt down, basically. And he's always wanted this match, so he finally got it. And it was... So if the Fatal 4-Way was a spot fest meant to show off and build a lot of storylines, this was a fight.
Yeah.
Like, John Moxley brought it to Tanahashi, and Tanahashi brought it right back.
Yeah.
Between Moxley getting busted open and putting Tanahashi through a table, and Tanahashi hitting his finishing maneuver, and Moxley reversing one of the moves into a bulldog choke that he held on to about as long as he could, and Tanahashi wouldn't give up. And finally, I even think the ending was that Tanahashi hits an open palm strike on Moxley. Moxley hit back with a King Kong lariat. Moxley locked in the bulldog choke, but Tanahashi fought out of it as the fans chanted, "Go Ace, go Ace!" And Moxley then planted Tanahashi with the Death Rider, or as others been known as the Paradigm Shift. The Death Rider is the lifting one he does over in New Japan. Making John Moxley the AEW Interim World Champion. So what's interesting about that is, does that make it? I would think it makes him a two-time champion, even though
he
it's
is he is the first
They call that.
two-time AEW heavyweight champion.
Thus, like
They
the Young
said
Bucks are
it
the
on-
first two-time
Yes.
tag champs. Which,
They said it on the announcers.
if nothing else comes out of CM Punk being hurt, obviously Punk needs to recover.
Yeah.
But if John Moxley now gets the opportunity to spend a few months in front of fans after recovering and going through the alcohol rehab
Yep.
and all this pandemic stuff, and gets to hold and be the AEW World Champion, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Phil, take your time. It's all right.
I'll take care of this for you, Phil. Don't you worry.
And if it means we get John Moxley and CM Punk for a unification match
Yes.
instead of MJF, I'm okay with that too.
I yes, all day long.
Do you have any notes for the world title match?
I didn't, because it was a fight, and you basically said what it was. It just looked like two wrestlers beating the heck out of each other, which was kind of what we were expecting.
Yeah.
Moxley was bleeding like a stuck pig.
Yeah, he was pretty bloody.
Holy cow! It looked like he was practicing for blood and guts. Like, okay, is this enough blood for blood and guts, Tony? You need more? Are we looking for more? Let's find the level here, because, dude, hopefully they checked his hemoglobin when it was all done.
I don't know.
He just needs to be on a diet of red meat.
Red meat, yes, exactly.
Just
Are you taking
constantly.
regular iron supplements?
taking
Renee,
iron
I can get
supplement-
you some good iron supplement suggestions if you need it for John. I'm just letting you know.
Lots of water, take lots of iron,
Yep.
eat lots of steak.
Yep,
Well,
pretty
and
much.
after the match was over with, they then basically did a glorified advertisement for the Blood and Guts show.
Yes,
That
oh, it
coming
was.
up because they had everybody and their brother from the Jericho Appreciation Society and the Blackpool Combat Club and their friends come out and start a fight, which of course meant the Blackpool Combat Club was going to get beat down, only for then Claudio to make another return at the end to get the big cheer and send the fans home happy, which, you know, is the thing that AEW likes to do.
Yep.
So, speaking of sending the fans home happy, we're over an hour.
Good Lord, what's wrong
and
with us?
I know. So
I don't know why you're surprised.
I'm not.
It is
I'm not.
exactly this way every time we talk about an AEW pay-per-view.
That's
Yeah,
because they cram everything into it,
It's a
including
4-hour
like.
show.
It's a 4-hour show.
I mean, they've got like a banquet, and they said, "Oh, but don't worry, we've got 7 more courses after the banquet's over, people."
Yeah, and that's
But
it.
with that said, I'm sure Don's got a 3 count and so forth for us. But just a
do.
couple quick notes out there. By the time this goes up, you see this, Money in the Bank will have probably happened. So I'm going to say congratulations, Sami Zayn. I don't know if he actually going to win it or not, but
Are we doing our predictions right
Just
now
what?
for it?
just the quick, who's going to win the men's Money in the Bank and who's going to win the women's?
Seth Rollins.
You think Seth Rollins going to
Seth
win the
Rollins.
men's?
I'm with
Liv
Don.
Morgan.
I'm with Don on Seth Rollins. I don't know that they're going to give it to Liv
I
Morgan.
actually am in agreement with
don't think
Liv
it'll be
Morgan.
Liv Morgan, Seth Rollins.
Even though it very clearly looks like they may be setting up Becky Lynch, but I want to
Yep.
see Liv Morgan push Becky Lynch off that ladder and take it
Me
herself.
too. Me too.
But I
really like.
I don't think it'll happen.
The-
I think it'll be
as
Becky
far-
Lynch. I
as
think it'll be
far
Seth
as
Rollins.
character is
The golden
concerned.
couple of WWE.
As far as character is concerned, I'm really enjoying the Eeyore version of Becky Lynch. And
I don't. She's
think that
annoying.
it's great.
I
think
don't.
it's
She's
great.
annoying.
Conversation
No.
for another time. But
No.
remember, and this might change on Friday.
Bailey, that's my prediction.
There you go.
I'll go
There's
with
still
that.
one more spot left
Bailey.
in the men's.
That's not
Money in the
Bailey.
Bank.
Bailey.
Bailey's going to win the men's.
What are we doing?
I'm all right with
No.
this. She, ding dong, hello. It's Bailey for the Money in the Bank.
Ding dong. Triple threat match for the women's title.
Fair enough.
Two cases. All the men get knocked out by some mysterious gas that leaks into the.
That sounds like
Match.
something Bailey would do.
I'm telling you, ding dong.
Anywho,
Or
so
she'll just have somebody win it and then beat them up on
yeah,
Raw or SmackDown for it.
we'll either get an opportunity to do a preview or review of the Money in the Bank match, but those are our very quick predictions for that.
What?
So Don, what you got? Oh,
All right. All right. For our 3 count, you guys ready?
yes.
Yes.
All right. American Nightmare Insurance. 1. Dax Shepard is not a tag team champ, and Dax Harwood is not married to Anna from Frozen.
2.
Jon Moxley should now be considered the poster child for the Blood Centers of America.
3.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us on episode 15 of The Stable, and we will check you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Deuces.
Have a second one, but
Correct. The Forbidden Door has 9 matches, but our goal is to keep them brief, focus on the high stuff.
3
It's
with the
12.
buy-in.
Oh, I didn't see any of the buy-in, so I won't be able to speak to that. It wasn't on the recording.
I got you. Yeah, I mean it was.
No, it
Should've
wasn't.
been. No,
No, it was
they
not.
must have done something separate for the buy-in. It's
Yeah.
alright. I have the results here.
Yeah, I watched it from the
If you're
beginning
gonna
all the way
talk
through.
to your computer screen, you need to move your mic in front of your computer
Well,
screen.
no, then I will. As long as we're okay having that in the shot like this.
It's your show.
I understand that, but it's not blocking me in any way. It might be blocking
It's
the Sting
Sting's
logo.
Face, but
Okay.
not the name Sting.
Yeah. No. I'm good.
Everyone knows who Sting is. I'm just saying.
The icon.